And now, live from the Pavilion Dance Hall on the Spittal Promenade, the Berwick Broadcasting Corporation proudly brings you the Berwick Academy Payne Orchestra, performing with the living legend, Swearing Gladys White, with their rousing rendition of The Trolley Song.
I'm not listening to any more of this filth.
Well, I don't see why we should split the bill evenly. I only had the soup.
And what does that say about you, Leslie? What does that say about you?
You are listening to
the Berwick Broadcasting Corporation.
Hurrah!
Broadcasting to you live from the glitzy delights of the DJ booth in the Ron Puncheon. Still to come.
There are supernatural goings-on and psychological terror afoot, as struggling author Jack Torrance must battle ghosts and his inner demons when he takes on a caretaking job for the winter at Haggerston Castle in our feature presentation,
The Shining!
Donna Uderson brings you all the regional news, sport and weather at the top of the hour, while Spadge and Midge are up to their necks in trouble in our late-night hard-hitting drama,
The Only Way is Eastcliff!
We have live music from jazz impresario Manish Tushu Shari Kalishari as he plays a selection from his latest album, Kabongos.
And the Styx. For those of you lucky enough to have died, you can escape this cavalcade of joyless slop. For the rest of us, here's the obligatory catch-up trailer.
Cress? Nobody said anything about Cress.
That's a fine thing to say to a lady with a double-knotted apron string.
No sugar for me. I gave it up for Len.
You can't put that in soup.
Now then, let's have a look under the bonnet and see what's what. But first, we go over to Studio B for all of your birthday wishes. Hello, and welcome to the daily birthday messages of our broadcast day. where some of you opt to share the joyous news of having someone you know survive another full orbit of the sun. I am Stephen Noakes, erstwhile presenter of Artshole, standing in for your regular host, Uncle Strokey. We are fairly certain that Uncle Strokey will be back from his sick leave soon, but that depends on how quickly he recovers and the reliability of several key witnesses. First card here is a lovingly crafted hand-drawn effort that features what I'm told is a mermaid. The message inside wishing a happy 7th birthday to Pegatha Clamwallet of Millfield. That's from Mummy and Daddy, Granny and Grandpa, Lucy, Stephen and Hoops the cat. I don't want to cast aspersions as to the quality of the drawing, but I think it's safe to say that the mermaid on the front of this card can park wherever she likes. Next we have a proper card from a shop from Mummy and Daddy. Now this is from Mummy and Daddy for Rodney Flannel from Tweedmouth, who is 1. I'm not wasting my time reading out this message. At 1-year-old, Rodney isn't going to remember his name being read out on the wireless. This is obviously purely for the benefit of the parents whose names are irrelevant. Samantha Hartley is 2. See my previous statement. And this next one has spelled the word mummy with an A. Pandora Mandelbrot is 11 and would like to hear 11 birthday quacks from Jemima the birthday duck. That's enough of that. Finally, we have a sympathy message for David and Morag Spinster from Reston, who lost their beloved mother Hilda when she was killed on a visit to a tyre factory at the weekend. I guess they won't be having such a good year. Sorry, I couldn't resist the low-hanging fruit of what I'm sure is an emotionally scarring pun. You can have Pandora's remaining birthday quacks to make up for your loss. And that's all from me today. Enjoy your cake. And now it's time for our main feature, a special radio adaptation of Stephen Kingsley Amos's tale of supernatural horror, The Shining.
The Shining is brought to you by Orangicide Antiseptic Orange Liquid Juice Type Drink.
My father was a good man. I will qualify that remark at the denouement of this sorry tale for the purposes of a dramatic juxtaposition, a belated rejoinder, if you will. My name is Danny Torrance, and I am 6 years old. This is the story of an ancient and festering horror that happened to my family one snowy winter. It all started with the day my father took a job as an off-season caretaker of a glamorous holiday resort miles from civilization, the opulent, palatial, and labyrinthine Haggerston Castle.
Are you Jack Torrance, the winter caretaker?
That would be me.
Good to meet you. I'm Richard Halloran.
Richard! Put it there, pal. Do you get Dick?
Only when a lonely truck driver stops by. And this must be your lovely family.
It certainly is. This is my 6-year-old son, Danny.
Hello there, Doc.
Hello.
And this is my wife, Wendy.
Wendy, lovely to meet you.
Hello.
You're not nervous, are you, Wendy?
No.
Say, Jack, if you like, Megan can show you around and I can take Wendy and Doc to kitchen. I'll show Wendy where everything is kept and Doc can have a little ice cream. You like ice cream, Doc?
Yup.
Okay.
Here comes Megan now. Megan, will you show Mr. Torrance around the complex?
Okay.
Now, Megan, I know this is your last day, but don't even think about back-chatting me in front of these people or I'll take a shoe to your jaw.
Fine. This way, Mr. Torrance.
Follow me. You weren't kidding when you said you like ice cream, Doc.
No, sir.
Mr. Halloran,
Aye?
how did you know we call him Doc?
Pardon?
Little Danny, how did you know we call him Doc?
Oh, I don't know. I must have heard you or your husband calling him that.
I don't think so.
Jeez Louise, Wendy. Do you want to know where we keep the spam or don't you?
Fine.
Follow me. Just this way.
And you, Doc, you just wait here and eat your ice cream.
And it landed right on her head.
I was stunned. Did Mr. Halloran just talk to me without talking, using his mind to talk like some kind of extrasensory communication? This was too much for my tiny 6-year-old brain to cope with. After he finished showing my mother around the enormous pantry, he asked if he could have a private talk with just me. My mother busied herself squeezing the individual packs of peas pudding to check for weeping.
And this is where we keep the pedalo wax to wax the pedalos.
Is that to keep them waterproof?
It keeps them covered with wax, and it's something to do. It stops the blood sticking to the paintwork if you accidentally mangle a duck, which happens sometimes.
Yes?
Couple of times a week, no more than that. That's your cabin over there by the man-made lake. You would normally stay in the main one of the caravans, but the man we hired last year killed himself and his entire family with an axe last year.
What?
Yeah. It was a real hassle.
Who was he? Why did he do it?
He was called Delbert O'Grady. They say one day he just snapped. Apparently, when you hit someone in the head with an axe, it makes the same noise as if you were cracking open a chocolate Easter egg full of raw sweetbread. Don't ask me how I know. This is the paddock and the stables where we keep the horses. You'll need to feed them daily.
Hey, Doc. Do you ever hear people talking to you when they aren't talking? Like you're reading their minds, or you sometimes know something's going to happen before it does, or see things that nobody else seems to see?
Sometimes?
Sometimes?
Yeah. Sometimes Tony tells me about things.
Who is Tony?
I'm Tony.
How are you doing that with your voice? And why are you waving your index finger at me?
I'm not. That's Tony.
What?
I'm Tony. What are you, stupid?
Tony is rude sometimes.
So it seems. Well, you see, those special powers I told you about, well, folks I know, folks from nearby, call that shining.
I thought that was a Gaelic hockey game.
No, that's shinty.
You're shinty.
Danny, if Tony doesn't stop giving me lip, I'm going to bite your finger off.
I'd like to see you try, you muppet.
I'll bite your finger off, swallow it, and post my 8:27 morning movement to you in a jiffy bag. Now listen here. There are things on this campsite nobody should go near. Things that shouldn't be in the world, but they are. And you're going to be drawn to them, and they're going to be drawn to you, Doc. They're going to be drawn to you like a light, because you can shine. And this next part, well, this is the most important part. Stay away from Caravan 237. You stay away!
Why?
Hey, Doc, Dick, what's happening?
Oh, I was just showing Danny how to do an impression of a guy falling down a well while saying, away!
That's pretty good. Where's Wendy?
I'm here. I was just counting tins of Spam.
Yeah?
804. 804 tins of Spam. The salt and fat in Spam is good for my nerves.
And then we were left alone, just the three of us. The first nights passed without incident. My father had taken the position of winter caretaker so he could work on his new novel. My father had written a series of self-help books after he stopped drinking. He was a frightening man when he drank drinkahol. His face would flush, his forehead became entrenched with deep furrowed lines, and he looked like he could take bottle tops off with his eyebrows. And he would yell, and he would hit me, and hit Mum. The doctors all said that's why my mum suffered so much with her nerves. Her hands shake so much now that she's not allowed to open a can of fizzy pop without armbands and a crash helmet. Each day after my father checked the site, the caravans and the boilers and the fences, he would sit down at his typewriter and write for hours. My mother found a new hobby in Spam sculpture. It released a newfound creativity in her, and she could eat the shavings as she carved away. I decided I needed to work on my legs and glutes before I went back to school, so I took to riding the tricycle. I would perform long, winding circuits around the complex. I would pass by the horses in their stable, the duck pond, and the goat who was suffering from an identity crisis due to over-petting during the summer season. One day, while I was on my circuitous travels around the extremities of the complex, I came across two twins. They didn't seem surprised to see me.
Come play with us, Danny. Forever and and ever and ever.
Are you
Girls?
No, ghosts.
Ooh. We're the girls from Caravan 237. Come and play with us, Danny. Come and play.
I did what any rational 6-year-old man would do in my position. I closed my eyes, wet myself, and fainted like an elephant who's just seen a field mouse in a cartoon.
Danny, are you all right?
What happened? Where am I? I'm narrating this thing. I should know.
Danny, calm down. You're safe. I found you out cold by Caravan 235, just 2 caravans away from Caravan 237. I brought you back to our idyllic lakeside chalet and tucked you into bed in your favourite spaceman pyjamas.
I told you 100 times. I like the dinosaur pyjamas best. They're fluffier, and the nylon makes sparkles when I rub my legs together in bed.
Why are you rubbing your legs together in bed?
Never mind.
But...
I like sparkles, Mum, okay? I like sparkles.
What's all this noise for?
Jack, I'm sorry.
Didn't I tell you I can't concentrate when you're making those mewling mouth noises that you do?
I don't know what you mean.
That noise that you make. How does that not drive you crazy?
I'm sorry, Jack. It won't happen again.
See that it doesn't. Oh, what I wouldn't give for a drink right now.
Jack, don't. Please, think of the children. Child. Think of our child. Our Danny.
6 months without drink-a-haul, and what do I have to show for it? Oh, to bally heck with it. I'm going to move my typewriter to the middle of the dance floor in the heart of this holiday complex, like a totally normal person would do under these circumstances.
Please! How will you know when it's dinner time?
Ring a little dinner bell for me. Ring-a-ding. Ding. Dash blooming silly family. Blimmin' noise. Flippin' silly geese. I hope they jolly well rot.
Hello there, handsome.
Hi, who are you?
I'm fine. This is my caravan. It's really big and comfortable, and comfy and squishy inside. I find a lot of men like those qualities, and not just in mobile homes.
Winnebago?
No, I paid for it with my husband's life insurance. This is all mine.
It's a doozy.
The suspension has been optimized for bumpy dirt tracks. If you see what I mean.
Yes, it must be hell driving down these country lanes. Forgive my asking, but why are you naked?
It's wash day. First I wash my clothes, then I was all of this. I've run a hot, steamy bath. I'm letting it cool down a little so I don't scold my Nancy. I'm a very dirty girl. I've used 2 bottles of Mr. Matey.
The Blue Sailor?
Pink. I play fast and loose with the truth. I'm dangerous that way. Would you like me to come in and help me get clean? You can scrub me with the loofah if you like, or get all of the dead skin off my feet with this pumice stone. Whoops! Silly me! I dropped it. I'd better bend on down there and pick it up. Going down. Would you look at that? I picked it up in my teeth. Follow me, lover. I'll wipe this thing off and you can rasp my calluses. And then...
I'll eat your soul!
Run, Jack, run! Run as fast as you can. Where am I?
Good evening, Mr. Torrance.
Who said that?
I did, sir. The name's Lloyd.
What are you doing out there, Doc?
I was on my tricycle. I think I need you to raise the seat a little. The ergonomics seem a little ill at ease with my current stature. I am 6 after all, and growing all the time.
Why were you lying on the ground? In the cold?
You told me. I fainted.
But you were so far away from our chalet. You could have gotten lost. Excuse me.
But I was talking to the twins.
Twins? What twins?
I think they're on holiday here.
But Danny, Doc, it's the off-season. The site is closed and all the caravans are empty.
And just like that, it started to snow heavily.
No. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Jack, Wendy, Doc. Run! Danny, Wendy. I've got to go to them. I've got to go tonight.
Meanwhile, 300 yards from our chalet, where the icy north wind was causing an eerie draft that stirred and curled the edges of the curtains, Lloyd made my father an offer he could not refuse.
You seem a little perturbed, sir.
No, I'm just a little anxious and unsettled. Say, Lloyd, you wouldn't happen to have any orangicide antiseptic orange liquid juice type drink? Chilling in the refrigerator, would you?
Would that be diet, decaffeinated, or regular?
I'm a man of simple pleasures, Lloyd.
Regular it is, unless...
Unless?
Perhaps you'd care for something a little stronger, Mr. Torrance.
You know what, Lloyd? I think you've just read my mind.
Quite, Mr. Torrance. Quite.
Can Danny and Wendy escape a fate worse than death? Well, it's just death, but it's pretty bad. Will Dick Halloran make it in time? Will Jack be able to fight off his inner demons long enough to stop himself falling into the metaphorical embrace of the darkness at the heart of Haggerston Castle? Would anyone actually mind if Wendy died? Find out in the concluding chapter of tonight's feature presentation of The Shining. But first, the news with Donna Utterson.
This is the news with me, Donna Utterson. I am Donna Utterson, and the news is thus. Vera Lynn struck down in her prime. Berwick Advertiser reveals plans to cut down on paper consumption by combining the property section with the obituaries column. And Salmon Queen festivities are thrown into chaos when a troupe of Morris dancers were accidentally beaten up by everyone in attendance. Good evening. The news shall now continue. I am Donna Utterson. Stevedores at Tweedmouth Docks had much to celebrate with the completion of a new jetty, but not everyone was happy with the completed project. Alvin Cobbles has more on the subject. Alvin.
Donna.
Alvin.
Donna. I am here at the end of the newly built jetty with stevedore William Scones and recently graduated psychosexualist Tanra Sandraford. We'll begin with you, William.
Surprise, surprise.
William, what will this mean for yourself and the other dock workers?
Well, I don't know, really. I mean, it's not as if they're built loads of new boats. At least I don't think so. Really, it's just somewhere new to stand.
But do you think it will benefit the town by bringing more shipping imports and a more vibrant export point for the United Kingdom?
I don't know. It's just somewhere new to stand.
Can you stop saying that, please?
I'm not bothered.
Well, someone needs to check their privilege.
Tanra, you've been a long-term opponent to the construction of the new jetty. Can you explain why?
I wasn't bothered either way.
Yes, you've had your chance.
Build it? Don't build it.
Yes. Tanra.
It's just another place to stand.
Stop it! Tanra, can you explain your opposition to the...
You see, Alan...
It's Alvin.
Alden.
Alvin.
Yes. Well, you see, before the construction of the jetty, Tweedmouth was female. She had a beautiful womb that would intake ships and export grain just like wombs don't, in a literal sense, but figuratively.
Figuratively, it doesn't really mean anything?
Perhaps, but speaking as a mother, it does. Tweedmouth had a womb, but now there's this great phallus jutting out into the water. Her womb is now a bladder. She has been masculated.
Some people actually do that because of a medical and personal need for...
Yes, but those are people, not dogs.
You really are quite mad, aren't you?
Just wait until the swans don't come here to sleep, but to pillage and draw up plans for war.
William, do you have anything to add?
We get a lot of swans.
Okay, back to the studio. Donna.
Alvin.
Donna.
Alvin.
Tanra.
Alvin.
Donna?
Financial news now, as Lowick-based telecommunication company Waldencom saw the value of their shares plummet to an all-time low. The company makes lighter-weight floral-scented telephones for women. The Carnation phone was popular in all the best households throughout the previous 5 years since its launch. However, the company has found that they were receiving hundreds of returns of their latest product, the Linden Tree phone. The main focus of the complaints seemed to stem from what is purported to be the main selling feature of the phone, its scent. Local MP Anne-Marie Trevelyan had this to say.
I have long been a fan of Waldencom and their scented phones. The lighter weight is a wonderful boon for me. My phone is always ringing because I'm so busy. Not that I really need a lighter phone. I have big, meaty arms and giant, rough-palmed hands like a longshoreman. But that being said, I do like to support local businesses. It's just such a shame that this new phone smells of spunk.
Finally, from the world of entertainment. Jimmy Shand is recovering in hospital after suffering what is described by doctors as a nasty pinch when he snagged the tip of his member in the folds of his accordion. The unfortunate event occurred whilst accompanying a particularly rambunctious performance of the Rolling Potato at a retirement party at Reston Golf Club. The crowd of onlookers, who were in the throes of a somewhat chaotic drops of brandy, all rushed to his aid, with one resourceful member of the crowd removing his Fair Isle cardigan to form a rudimentary truss.
It was quite lucky I was there. The moss had been at it, so I didn't mind giving it to the man. He'd been singing for about 4 hours at this point, and he was getting more and more G'd up. The Rolling Potato is a particular favourite of mine and my wife's.
Was that wives or wives?
Yes. I took off my cardigan. I didn't even think. The moss had made short work of some of the back, but you don't see that when you're wearing it. Ina said there was probably still enough structural integrity there to make the truss, and she could use the bottom half of her teeth to hold it all in place.
How did that work?
Sort of like a peg.
A peg?
You don't want to know. She doesn't want them back, let's put it that way.
Well, that's all for today. You now know all the things that I know. Now, leave me alone.
And Captain Nemo and Nautilus will continue from 10 o'clock. That follows immediately after the latest episode of our hard-hitting late-night drama, The Only Way's Eastcliff.
Herman.
Who's your buffer?
Oh no. Take the lad, son.
Had away, you.
You're no trashy, are you?
I'm no trash. I just got a glyph.
Did I glyph you?
Aye.
How, Wedger? Bumpers gied himself a muckle glyph.
Never had a glyph, has he? You never?
Had away, menus.
Oh, nah, Dick. Here comes Mortal Aaron with the false staggeroon.
He'd better no start.
How's my goozle paps tonight?
Oh, had away, take a whiff. I think he's had a muckle taily in his skid catches.
I've no like.
Well, there's a canny gumph.
It's no me. It's for the Bobo. He's doing on Bridge Street. Mind what a mock at Chather.
He's a canny reek.
He's about as hacky as your mother's curtains.
My mother's no got mooty curtains, you. Mind, some helfies you're telling.
What was them? Hacky curtains, eh? Burlcut?
Nah.
Gannon?
Helfies
Burlcut?
like helfies.
How, Rory Tackett? Sailors' tours of your tube, and I'll give ye a ride down the rose gardens.
Didn't he think so, Nadine?
How like? Divn't be tagged.
I'm away back to my Kia.
Aye, Bumper's got a gnash back and weshes mother's curtains because they hack. It's hard to get a full day's work done when your throat is playing up. You know, that irritating tickle caused by smog or cold. Janice knows what I mean, don't you, Janice?
My throat's always tickling. It's the smog, I say.
That's right, the smog. Try one of these, Janice. It'll do that throat of yours the world of good.
What's this?
This has been specially designed by scientists to ease the tickling throat caused by smog or cold. It's not just any short filter cigarette, it's a smooth Gallagher's menthol.
Oh, that's done the trick. It's so smooth. What did you say these were called?
They're called Gallagher's menthols. Ask for them by name at any chemist or tobacconist. Gallagher's menthols are specially designed by scientists to ease tickling throats. They smooth, and they're good for your throat. And the whole family can enjoy breathing in their refreshing aroma. Gallagher's menthols, ask for them by name today. And now we return to tonight's feature presentation of The Shining, brought to you by Orangicide Antiseptic Orange Liquid Juice Type Drink. Refreshes, cleanses, and kills 89% more germs than the next best antiseptic orange liquid juice type drink.
Petey little Eiley number called McCullochill Gochloch.
Oh yes, Lloyd. What are you giving me?
It has a delicate burnt cat aroma coupled with a bouquet not too dissimilar to coins found in a muddy allotment.
Sounds perfect. I think this should hit the spot.
It's good.
It's quite piquant.
If you like that, I think I could definitely recommend this 40-year-old single malt from Mull, the sherry cask matured McChernobyl Kilmeny.
How much?
Oh, your money's no good here, Mr. Torrance.
Now, Lloyd, you... Wait. Where am I? Where's Lloyd? How did I get here?
You were always here, Mr. Torrance.
What? Who are you?
If you'd allow me, sir, there's a stain on your shirt. I will sponge it out.
Who are you?
The name's O'Grady, sir.
O'Grady? Delbert O'Grady?
Yes, sir.
You were the caretaker here.
No, I don't think so, sir. I'm sorry to have to differ. I'm sure I would remember such a thing.
No, you were the caretaker here. The backwards girl who showed me around here. She told me you killed your wife and little twin girls with an axe, then blew your own brains out with a hunting rifle.
Did I? Well, that would certainly explain why the back of my head whistles when it's windy and my hat doesn't fit anymore. But I'm afraid you're mistaken, Mr. Torrance. I'm not the caretaker here. You are. You've always been the caretaker here. Did you know your boy has a tremendous gift?
A gift?
And that he is using that gift to bring another outside influence into our situation. Planning to bring that outside influence here, to Haggerston Castle.
Who's he bringing?
A cook.
A cook?
And not just any cook. This one is, well...
He's what?
I'll spell it out for you. 2 G's, an N, an I, and an E and an R.
You mean...
Yes. He's ginger, sir.
He was always a willful boy. He gets it from his mother.
And quite naughty, too. If I may venture to offer my opinion on the matter, my girls were naughty, too. When I caught them trying to leave Haggerston Castle by burning it to the ground...
Yes?
I corrected them. And when my wife tried to stop me, I corrected her, too. You know what you must do, Mr. Torrance. You are the caretaker. Hello, excuse me.
Deek, it's some ginger Where you gone, ginger
Do you know how to get to Haggerston from here? I've taken a wrong turn, and I'm not sure how I ended up this far north.
I didn't know. I near the barrack camp is just o'er the back of thon hooses. She might. How, posh woman? There's a gadgy here wanting to get you Haggerston.
Augustin. Well, that's easy. You just go through the 7 stages of grief, pop down the A1, and then Bob's your uncle. You're a Augustin. Are you the turn?
Pardon?
The turn. They usually have a turn on singing to tapes.
I'm not the turn.
Is that because you're Ginger?
I'm the cook.
Is the camp open?
No, I'm on my way to prevent a murder, and I'm in a terrible hurry.
Well, want to get a sift on? Get your accelerator, Nanty.
Thank you for your help.
My mother was terrified by the idea that I, her 6-year-old son, was experiencing visions of disembodied sibling spirits with possible ill intent towards my well-being. In an instant, she made her dire and fateful decision.
Doc, I've reached a dire and fateful decision. I'm going to tell your father we're leaving Hagston Castle and going home.
I don't think it's safe, Mummy. I'm scared.
I know, sweetie, but this place is dangerous. Put on your Wellingtons and come with me. Honey!
Wendy, how many times? When you disturb me, I can't concentrate. And when I can't concentrate, I lose my focus. And when I lose my focus, I can't work. And when that happens, I get really angry.
I'm sorry.
You're being bally annoying, Wendy.
It's just... Mac had an accident out by one of the caravans, and you've been so busy working on a book, and I thought we should leave.
Leave? Nobody's going anywhere.
Jack! You're scaring me.
I'm scaring you? Light of my life?
Yes.
How am I scaring you, schmoopsie-poo?
You're so unpredictable and volatile, and why would you need an axe to help you write your book?
It's drafty in here. It makes a handy paperweight.
I suppose that makes sense.
It also helps if someone is annoying me by doubling up as an axe.
I walked into the room just as it happened. My father lunged for the axe, as my mother leapt forward and grabbed the axe at the same time. Their heads collided. My mother's hairband protected her skull. My father was not so fortunate, the force of the blow knocking him immediately unconscious. My mother had a large contusion on her temple from the force of the impact. There was possible some subcranial pressure from swelling in the meningeal membrane that was resulting in a concussion. But what could I do? I was just a little 6-year-old boy. In my blind, infantile panic, I did what any sane child would do, and dragged her into the nearest toilet and locked the door. Once I locked the door, I allowed her an hour to recover. Then I would wake her up by yelling the name of my favorite stolen racehorse over and over. I took the lipstick from her purse and drew a beautiful picture of the horsey on the door, then wrote his name above it. My mother awoke with a start and stared directly into the mirror which reflected the horsey's name. In the mirror, the letters were inverted and spelled out the word murder. I felt so foolish. After all she'd been through, this lack of foresight had only added to her distress. Worst son ever. Out in the main hall, my father heard my mother scream and stirred. He picked up the axe and used it to lever himself upright. It was at that point he heard a car pull up onto the gravel outside.
Hello, anyone? It's me, Mr. Alleran.
Hello, Dick. Here's Johnny!
Ooh, you got me. Ooh. Ah, that's really sore. Oh, will you stop that?
My axe is stuck in your ribs.
Ouch. Ouch.
With my shining powers of ESP, I could see all that was happening to Dick Halloran and feel his pain. It was the worstest pain ever, like falling off your bike times 10. And then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. A part of me knew Dick Halloran had died.
Danny! Wendy! I'm coming for you! I'm going to huff, and I'm going to puff, and I'm going to blow your house in!
No! Leave us alone!
Mummy, I have an idea. We can climb out the window and escape.
But I can't fit through there! I've spent the whole winter eating spam! You go, my darling. Save yourself!
I kissed my mother goodbye as the axe blows continued to splinter the door into matchwood. I could see my father, wild-eyed through the cracks as he swung the heavy axe. As I climbed out the window, I turned to see my father as he climbed through the ruined wood and stand over my mother, ready to strike. I turned to run, just as I heard the scream, quickly followed by the fatal blow. I ran and ran and ran until I reached the crazy golf course and hid behind the clown. I watched fearfully for him to emerge through the window in pursuit, but he was too large, brought about by a diet mostly comprised of spam shavings. I took the briefest moment to succumb to my childish urges to make a snow angel. I did it right there on the putting range, in front of the clown's open, expectant, ball-hungry mouth. A flag told me he was hole number 5. Just then, my father burst from the complex via the front door. He had seen me, frolicking in the snow. Oh, the humanity!
Danny!
He moved through the snow with determination of a shark that had smelled the blood of an injured turtle and the ferocious feline grace of a puma.
I'm coming
I
for
tried
you.
to stand up, but the snow beneath me in the snow angel I had created had become a solid block of white ice. I was helpless.
You're driving me crazy, Danny!
He strode towards me, axe aloft, ready to strike. My tiny 6-year-old frame, vulnerable and ripe for the sundering, all hope was lost.
Danny!
It was only at the last moment that I managed to roll out of the way. His attempt to stop was thwarted by the icy conditions, and as his foot struck the hardened snow where I had lain mere microseconds ago, the slip and inertia pitched his body forward. The axe flew up into the air, spinning wildly and uncontrollably.
Oops! Oh! No!
My father's head landed in the mouth of Crazy Golf Clown, with such a force I could hear his neck snap above the sound of my screaming. Barely seconds later, fate stepped in to finish the job as the axe landed squarely in the center of my father's shoulder blade. I watched as his final breaths pooled in a cloud of vapor in the mouth of the fiberglass clown, its painted eyes seeming almost amused as the last of the vapors vanished in the freezing night air. I went back to the main hall and called the police. They said it could take a few hours to get to me because of the snow, so I climbed inside the body of Dick Halloran like he was a tauntaun and waited for them to arrive. He was still warm. My father was a good man, but he had his demons, and that night his demons got the better of him. And now his actions have laid him to rest here, but he will not rest peacefully. He is condemned to join the ranks of the restless spirits, and when I close my eyes, I can see them, because I can shine.
It's competition time, and you, the lucky listener at home, could win a weekend snorkeling holiday at the Lily Pond by the train station, and £30 spending money in the charity shop of your choosing. The question is, who was the MP for Berwick-upon-Tweed before Anne-Marie Trevelyan? I'll repeat that again. The question is, who was the MP for Berwick-upon-Tweed before Anne-Marie Trevelyan? Answers on a postcard to the usual address marked Alan Beath Competition, and we'll read out the winning entry live on the wireless next week. And now it's time for 10-Second Theatre, our semi-regular section where we ask you, the listener, to contribute a short radio play lasting no more than 10 seconds. Tonight's offering has been sent in by little Orson Welles of Bowsden. He's written this rather spicy little piece called Citizen Kane. Take it away, Orson. Your entry for 10-Second Theatre.
Rosebud. My sledge. It was brilliant. Rosebud. Ugh.
And now, before we dive headfirst into the post-salmonella vomit bag that is the Styx, here is a taster of the sort of things that have been happening lately. We'd hate for you not to be able to follow the plot.
Cress? Nobody said anything about cress.
Well, that's a fine thing to say to a lady with a double-knotted apron string.
No sugar for me. I gave it up for Lent.
You can't put that in soup.
Now then, let's have a look under the bonnet and see what's what. And so, there's just enough time to find enough white spirit to put yourself in a chemically induced coma. Otherwise, it's the latest episode of our inexplicably long-running rural soap opera, The Styx.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello there, Peter. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. How's your Fanny?
Working her fingers to the bone. She's worn out.
How so?
Farm isn't doing so good. I thought I might have to let ladyboys have a couple of my acres. That's how I decided to do a bit of extra business on the side with Fanny.
So, the homegrown flower arrangements are taken off?
I'll say. It's beyond me, Peter. Put me in a tractor and get me lambing those cows, and I'm in my element. But flowers, they're so delicate and finicky.
Do you need an hand?
You need more than one. Fanny's so particular about how she wants her beds. She said she wants to see me prick out 2 feet apart so the bulbs don't start strangling each other's roots. But with these big shovel hands of mine, that kind of intricate work is a recipe for disaster.
Why don't you give your missus a treat this weekend?
We can't afford to. We're doing all the arrangements for the Palmer wedding next week, and Jill said she wanted some of my angiosperm in her bridal spray.
Of course you can. Me and Sally can take over here for a few days. After all you've done for us, I'm sure she wouldn't mind popping around to do some pro bono work.
Are you sure?
Of course I am. It'll do you both the power of good. Go and see a show in London.
London?
Absolutely. You and the missus go to London. See a show. Eat out. You just give Fanny this weekend off. Take her up the Oxo Tower or something.
Sounds like a plan.
Sally's sweater gouse, as I live and breathe.
Oh, Mr. Bulldyke, come quickly.
I always do.
Is my Charlie's Flossie?
Whatever's the matter with the poor dog?
I've been looking after her while Charlie and Fanny get their floral business up and running. But Flossie, well, I don't know. She's just shaking all the time, even when she's by the fire.
Where is the old girl?
Through in the kitchen.
What's that I can smell?
Oh, I was just shaving my pecorino on the bench just as you pulled up.
Oh, it smells divine.
It's an old recipe from Peter's mother's side of the family, the Italian side. He always loved noshing down on his mum's special linguine. I do my best to keep up, but I can't compete, really. She could get hers to hold the sauce, whereas mine just dribbles out like a limp dribbly thing.
Ah, here's the patient, one shaking sheepdog. You know what?
What?
You know what it might be?
No, tell me.
She might have the collywobbles.
Golly,
Who are you? I know.
Oh, God. Because she's shaking. And a sheepdog.
I know. It's too perfect a joke.
I know.
Right, but in all seriousness, this does look quite bad.
Oh no, poor Floss. What's the matter with her?
I can't be certain. Right now, I'd say your chances are about 50-50, but there's only a 10% chance that that's the case. I can feel a slight lump under her front leg. It could be a tick or maybe a small infection. Does she go running in the long grass when she's out?
Oh, she's always out chasing little
it's not
furry
a tick.
creatures, diving headlong into young Jasper Dunn's woody thicket.
We'll just take a quick sample and see if there's any sign of infection. Worst case scenario is it could be an adder bite. But if I just prick this bulge lightly, we'll hopefully see a little pus.
Hello, stranger.
Jasper Dunn, is that you?
Yes. After I was released from prison, when they found out it was actually Lance that burned down the old potting shed at the garden centre and not me, I decided to make the most of my newfound freedom and joined a folk quintet. Moved from violin to accordion.
Well, I didn't know you were so musically minded.
Oh, you should see me. Some of the big hitters at the folk clubs couldn't keep their eyes off me when I was on the accordion. Isla Grant thought my fingering was astonishing and asked if I'd like to join her on stage. She let me use her squeeze box and said it was a time to strip the willow. Playing with Isla was much more fun than fiddling with the other four.
Fascinating. Are you heading into town?
Just on a wander, actually. Would you like some company?
I would say so. If you like, you can accompany me to the Graham's Law Farm.
It would be my pleasure. What's old Charlie up to?
They're branching out into floral work. They do cuttings. I'm looking for something to spruce up my beds.
Are you looking for a wild time?
I'm not sure, although I do fancy a bit of Charlie's old man's beard in my front hedge.
I have a purple morning glory you can take a gander at if you fancy popping behind my woodshed.
Well, if you like, after that you can pop by my estate and I'll show you the little Douglas fir I've been growing since I was a teenager.
I've missed you.
Fanny, good news. Sally and Peter are gonna take on the farm for the weekend so we can go to London.
Charlie, we can't afford that.
Yes, we can. That old coin box of yours was brimming. I couldn't even get a butter knife in the slot, so I pulled the bung out of it and then yanked out anything larger than a 5.
But that was for a rainy day.
I think we need to make it rain on us now, or there'll be no time left to get wet when it finally comes. We don't owe anybody anything. Sally and Peter are old hands in the garden.
I thought when Nicholas came out of the army, we could all go to Bangor for the weekend.
You loved that cottage looking over the bay. The one with the funny roof, with the birds nesting in it.
I remember. All the swallows and the jerkinhead, but...
I know. I miss him too. Come on, girl. Let's do this for us.
Well, if you think we should...
I do.
Well, get that rubber bung out and grab all my tuppence. London won't know what's hit it, Charlie Graham's Law.
Is it a snake bite?
I don't think so. It was quite firm when I pushed the needle in.
Is it an infection then?
It is possible. I noticed a little discharge when I pulled out, but it didn't smell like pus. Here, what do you think it smells like?
Oh, I can't quite place it. It's like marzipan. Why would a dog have marzipan deposits under its arms?
Legs?
What?
Dogs don't have arms. They've got 4 legs like a table.
No, look at my table. Those are its arms and those are its legs.
No, Sally.
Marzipan?
If Charlie and Fanny are doing the flowers for the Palmer wedding, what are you doing?
I'm making the wedding cake.
I think Floss is eating the lot.
Oh, no! The wedding is in 2 days' time. I'll never be able to whip up another 5-tier by then.
What kind was it?
Each one was different. Lawrence Palmer always loved tucking into my silky red velvets, so that made up the base.
That's a lot of sweet sugary treats on there for a dog.
That's not the half of it. There was some chocolate, and I finished that off with a dense small fruity pound to stand their figurines on. So what does that mean?
I think she's got canine diabetes.
Oh no, what'll we do?
Well, prolonged levels of hyperglycemia like she's experiencing now can lead to restricted blood flow in the extremities.
Oh my word, what'll we do?
Well, now, this may sound extreme, but I believe that to avoid that ever happening, the best course of action is to just cut her legs off. Don't worry, Sally. I've got a loan of Anita Quim's electric hedge cutters. They'll have them off in no time. We'll nail a couple of pairs of roller skates to her undercarriage, and neither she nor Charlie will notice the difference. Unless she has to chase the sheep up a hill, in which case she's basically You have been listening to the Berwick Broadcasting Corporation. Tonight's cast were Ewan Duthie, Gary Robson, Hugo Hughes, Tamsin Davidson, Trudy Morrison, and Robert Flynn. Thank you for listening. Join us next time to hear our exciting feature presentation of A Love That Survived the Grave. Join us for the heartbreaking romantic tale, Ghost.